Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chance podcast, and welcome back to our 100th episode special. Congrats, lads, on making it this far. Congrats. You have to do an awkward one across me now.
I thought he was going to leave me hanging then. Oh, thank God.
For this commemorative one, we're going to be answering questions from your favourite boxers or people involved in boxing. It's not all just boxers. To sort of have a look back at our journey, isn't it? People we've met along the way, people who have helped us get here. So in commemoration of all that, hit the subscribe button, you know. Thank you all for all your support over the last, year and a bit now?
Yeah,
it's coming up 2 years, I think.
Unbelievable.
Not bad going. Now, to start off with, I've got a fitting one for this one. Try and avoid. We've got a screen just next to the camera here, so these boys need to avoid.
So if we shut our eyes, that means
shut your eyes for a second while I load it up. And then 3, 2, 1.
Hello, lads. Congratulations on your 100 podcast. My question is, has your views on boxing changed the deeper you've got into the sport? There you go. That's a good one, isn't it?
Johnny, that's unbelievable.
Good question from Mr. Johnny Clark of Top Tier Promoter and CEO. What a man. A man who knows a little thing about boxing and promoting himself. I'm sure his answer would be yes, based off of having spoke to him. But I think the answer's probably yes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would have said before we sort of started covering it as much as we have and really getting to know the people involved in boxing, you don't really, I think you take for granted how dangerous the sport is and how much people sacrifice, I think, more than anything. Is a lot of these fighters we've seen who, like, I would have thought years ago are making good money, you know, fighting on these shows a few times a year. And like how much you have to sacrifice, like time with family, how much training you have to do, and the danger you're actually putting yourself in to sometimes not make a lot of money really puts into perspective and gives you, like, you have a lot more respect for these fighters, I think, and even people like Johnny, like, you see how much work he puts into making sure these shows run and how stressful they are. Like, it is a lot of work that goes into it. So, yeah, massive respect to everyone who's involved.
Yeah, I'd say I have a lot more respect for the people in boxing and for the boxers and people like that and matchmakers, promoters, etc., etc. But probably a little bit less of respect for, like, the industry. You kind of... It's not quite as sort of clean cut as it looks on telly when you watch the
higher level, yeah. But the people down that we go to a lot of shows in Wales and you see all the fighters coming through wanting to make a name for themselves. And the one thing I never realised was it's all on ticket sales.
Yeah.
That they don't get paid for this. If they don't sell a lot of tickets, one thing, they could be kicked off the show, or they just don't make a lot of money from it. And, you know, you look at all boxers with they put on Instagram about their medicals and how expensive they are. And that's another thing that's wide open. That opens your mind up to a whole new thing. But no, it's been a good journey. Johnny's doing a very good job with what he's doing at Top Tier. Unbelievable shows. You've boys done it. You've been to a lot of them, obviously. But great question to start, I think.
I thought it was a really good question. Afterwards, he was very proud of himself because he basically came up with it on the spot.
Did he?
And he insisted on telling me that, you know, he just pressed record. You know, one take man. This is what he does.
But he's a promoter, so he's probably good at that, ain't he? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Shout out, Johnny.
Thank you, Johnny, for all the time we spent at your shows. Thank you for all of that. The next one, obviously, shut your eyes once again. This one isn't a video.
It's in a video.
It's just a question.
Gonna not look at the screen.
And we are going home. You can open your eyes now from Ioan Croft, one of the two Croft twins. Very, very impressive fighter, very talented fighter. And his question was that as boxers, they have dream venues and arenas. What would ours be? And there's a little caveat there. He gave his own answer, which would be the Principality, with the Swansea Stadium in a close second. So similar to you, I imagine, Ben.
Yeah, I'd love to fight in Swansea. I've come close. I've come close to fighting down there a few times.
Allegedly.
Yeah. What would your answers be?
I have to agree with him. The Principality, being obviously a passionate boxing fan, Welsh sports fan in general, the Principality, National Stadium.
Back to rugby, doesn't he?
Yeah, I know.
Literally, I would love to fight there. But arena-wise, Madison Square Gardens is definitely up there for me as a place that I'm never going to box, am I? But to go there and watch a fight, I think would be incredible. I'm trying to think in Britain, the York Hall.
Yeah,
I would love to go to the York Hall. You boys have got privilege of going there, but yeah.
I would say for me, if we're talking stadium, Croke Park in Dublin, Muhammad Ali fought there. There's the Muhammad Ali corner, so to walk out from the Muhammad Ali corner would be pretty special, and it's just fucking huge.
What was it, 80 odd thousand there?
Something like that, yeah. I think it's fifth biggest in Europe, maybe sixth now for
Jeez.
Tottenham or whatever. But that would be my stadium. Arena, same as you, UK, York Hall, obviously, and it would be MSG.
I've looked at it different to you two. I'd want to go for the Coliseum.
Wow, I like it.
Imagine that if they could set that up.
Do you work for the ring? Because that's probably going to happen in a couple of years' time.
Imagine you could set that up for like a proper boxing event.
Even if it's not
That
the
would
one in
look
Rome,
sick.
like the one in like Verona, like there's some big coliseums that
Yeah,
do
they had that one before in Mexico.
Yeah.
Like there was like a little
Yeah.
They've done
bowl
one in
type thing.
Italy as well, but not in the main Coliseum.
The main
I remember
Coliseum
Matchroom
would
did a
be
show there a
sick.
couple of years
I'd
back.
love to see a massive fight in
When
it.
there rumours Anthony Joshua's going to fight someone in the Coliseum, I swear I
Maybe.
saw that on Twitter one
It
day.
would be cool. And then just do like win the fight, get up on the ropes and give them the you're not entertained.
The thumbs up or the
Yeah,
thumbs
yeah,
down
yeah.
everyone has to do, yeah.
Get Eddie Hearn doing it.
Yeah. Your arena, Ben?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Are you trying to go creative other than because it
Yeah.
probably York Hall, isn't it? Surely
Yeah,
you
sure.
not go in Penny Darren Park?
Oh yeah,
Your stadium,
I don't even know why
14
that's.
picks, you can
Imagine
do it,
that. The day we're recording this, we're getting promoted. So
Oh, he's going to
Yeah.
have a sore head tomorrow watching the pod then.
Gavin Gwynne main, you co-main in Penny Darren Park. Who says no?
yeah, that sounds like the dreamer.
Boxing says
I've
no.
got another one. I know we've said some. The MGM in Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
yeah,
Imagine
yeah.
that.
feel like-
You know you've made it then. If you fight in Vegas, you feel like, yeah, I'm one of the big boys
I feel
now.
like Vegas has lost its aura a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
I
a
can
little
agree,
bit
yeah.
In terms of like,
But we haven't had what's the last really big fight that we've had in Vegas? I can't really remember.
if we're talking money,
Yeah.
get me to the Kingdom Arena. Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
I'll fight on the street in Saudi for that kind of money. I don't care. Yeah, I thought that was a good question.
Yeah,
for Owen.
unbelievable
A lot of these,
question.
do you know what? Big respect to a lot of these fighters. I'm not saying I had any, disposition about what I thought fighters' questions would be like, but it wasn't the ones they came up with. I don't
No.
think. So that was another good question.
Fair play.
Close your eyes again, boys.
No.
This one is it's an audio one from a fighter. One of the first bigger interviews we had on the channel, and a certain man who liked to talk about testicles.
Alright, cool. I think I got what you guys mean. So, what is the most awkward moment you have had ever interviewing somebody? Alright, cool.
Hello, running it back again.
It was that good. You had to do it twice.
Yeah. Now that was an interesting one because I think we know your answer, don't we, Harry?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go first? You, Louis, when you started talking about tingly bollocks. I was a very young reporter at this time. I didn't really know what to do. I was very sort of straight to the line, how was the fight? How was your performance? Thought I'd throw in a little bit of an interesting question, ask you about post-fight food. You started talking about tingly bollocks. I was taken aback. And minus marks for Southampton beating Leeds in the playoff final as well. So
Yeah. My one was my first ever interview. Obviously, you've had experience interviewing people. It lives long in our memory, don't it, that interview. What is your pound for pound top 5 boxers of all times? And I won't name the boxer for obvious reasons, but his answer was very funny and made me look like a fool, to be honest. It did. I creased. I went a bit red. I sweated a little bit, and I thought, hopefully I can do better.
and that's why you've never done an interview since.
Yeah, that's why I only
definitely
interview
put him
Moses Jolly, because he gives me some good stuff.
Easy
But
work.
that's a great question. Again,
That was a
mine.
good question.
Fair play.
And I, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I know what Harry's doing. I know what it is. What about you, bud? Because you haven't had too many bad ones.
Nina Hughes.
The one,
Yeah.
that was a bit awkward, but the one with Brandon Scott as well.
we don't
When
His
I,
name wrong.
yeah,
Start the-
what did I call him? The world's
cares?
baddest nerd, I think I called
The
him.
world's bad. The worst nerd, you called him.
I'm not a big fan of Brandon.
I'm
Scott, but-
putting that down though to the fact that we were in the Vale Arena. I think it was in December.
Cold,
And it was
yeah.
absolutely freezing, and
minus, what was it, 14? Yeah.
yeah, my head just wasn't on.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm trying to think if there's been any more. Do you know what? David Adley G-checking
Yeah.
me on interview about my black eye. It would have been. I think it would have been an awkward moment, but I think I dealt with it quite well. If that was 6 months earlier, I'd panic.
I don't know if it's an awkward moment, but your interview with Ben Shalom,
That's the best.
Oh, it's
that's the
best moment.
funniest and most awkward in a way, because he's taken back by your response to him, and you're thinking, yeah, that's up there. That has to be up there. Funniest, awkward, most viewed.
Yeah.
You made him look like a fool.
I did.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen that already, I think it's up on all of our stuff. Just search at Ben
I think
Shalom.
if you look on TikTok, it's our
I think it's the
pinned
most
video.
viewed thing we
on
got.
TikTok. He makes a very personal statement about his I'm sure lovely partner who I haven't met and now I probably don't want to either. So thank you, Ben, for that one. That was a great moment. Lots of great moments, to be fair.
We've had lots of great interviews though, haven't we? As well.
We have, and that puts us nicely onto our next question.
Look away again.
Is from a man who we've had just next door. It's of course Gavin Gwynne, former European Commonwealth British champion, first ever boxer guest on the channel.
Yeah.
And he said, "What's your favourite thing about interviewing boxers and going to the gyms?" And it's a difficult one because there's so many answers.
St. Joe's.
Yeah.
I like when I walked in there and you just go upstairs and you just look around. All the wallpaper pictures, unbelievable.
I love an old school gym.
Yeah.
I love an old school gym.
You know, we've been to that Sean Murray's one they opened up and it smelled very nice. And you go to all these gyms and it's a proper gym and you get all the hard work in there. Interviewing fighters, what's the most?
Do you know what my answer is? And it's slightly weighted, but when you're interviewing a fighter outside of camp and outside of a media day, so you either go to their gym or you catch him, like when we got Ben Whittaker at the opening of that gym, and you just you get to know them as like a human.
Yeah.
Almost, do you know what, actually, it's almost the 15, 30 seconds before and after the interview
Yeah.
that I like more than the interview itself, when you sort of see, for some fighters, that mask, like Johnny Fisher.
The guards are down, yeah.
Literally, the second I had to cut it off the end of the video, that interview ended with him, he was really like, "Oh, so you came from Cardiff," and he was really sound. It's those little bits when you kind of get to know them as a person. Or Ben Whittaker telling us his exact address, like exactly where he lives and how to spot his house.
Did we cut that from the video?
Yeah, we did.
Good.
But those things for me.
I'd say it's how sort of accessible and just open they are as well. Like with other sports, like if you're covering football or whatever, like you can sort of get footballers that will think they're above you or like will not want to take the time to speak to you, but I feel like we haven't really got that in boxing.
They're just normal
like,
people, aren't they? Living a dream. When you think about it, Tyler Denny for me is one that you just interview him and you're thinking you've just been announced on the biggest card of your life, and he's just so down to earth and so lovely speaking to. And I like diving in deeper to him as well. What got them into boxing, and all that. What do they read with their opponents? Do they do much studying?
Yeah.
From a lot of interviews I've done a significantly lower amount of boxer interviews that they don't read a lot into their opponents. A lot of boxers we know.
Yeah. Do you know what? Saying you mentioned the Tyler Denny one, that event, because we interviewed Tyler Denny,
Adam Smith,
and Hamza Shiraz.
Yeah.
And Hamza Shiraz was another one that I thought he was alarmingly normal compared to because those guys are at the top level. He was just so sound.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like the human part of it. Like you said, like getting know them a bit more rather than just, "Oh, you're going to punch him in the face, are you? How hard are you going to punch him in the face?"
That's the mental thing though. When you're interviewing them and you're thinking, you punch someone in the face for a living.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But
But
end your life at any moment.
yeah, well, Gav's good at that, ain't he? When you think about it.
Yeah, and to be honest, another one, I don't like when boxing coaches punch me in the hand. That hurts.
Yeah. Shout out Tony Borg.
Tony Borg, clips me with one. I've actually got a very matching scar at the moment. It wasn't the one, but we can pretend it was. Nasty.
Is this you calling him out on the pod?
No, absolutely not. He was just telling a story and he was...
He's another one about interviewing, mind.
Great.
Very good.
Again, though, the bits you talk to him off in it.
Yeah,
so
unbelievable.
He's just got so many stories.
We should get him on the pod one day, shouldn't we?
Absolutely, we should. And Gav, thank you for coming on. Thank you for putting your faith in us so early on. What a man. After your Saudi loss as well, which was... you didn't have to, so we appreciate that.
Big fan of him now.
On to the next one, boys.
Upper
We have another video for this one, I believe. And this is one that I think Harry will really enjoy. This is someone that Harry gets on really well with. You can have a look.
You know what? I'm going to send a good question.
Oh, not this guy.
What got you all into boxing? And what's all of your best memories involving boxing?
So that is, of course, Brandon Scott. Now, Brandon, I like how you started that with saying, "I'm going to give you a good one." He set the bar. He was going, "I'm going to give you a good question." Well, what's your answer?
What got me into boxing? I'm from a different era, aren't I? I think Ben's going to have
I know your answer.
different answer.
There's nothing wrong with saying your answer.
I'm from the Anthony Joshua sort of era, when he won the Olympics and turned over, beating Dillian White.
Versus Rossi HB
Yeah.
on the undercard of Joe Weller KSI.
I'm not from... I am a bit from that part of the boxing world as well. Joe Kawasaki as well. I remember my dad and my brother watching him, staying up late. Went to my auntie's pub one day because she owned a pub in Oakdale, and he was over there. There's so many moments in boxing that got me gripped, but I think for me the biggest memory I've got is Anthony Joshua, Vladimir Klitschko, lift off for AJ, what Adam Smith said, and he's definitely the man that's got me aware of boxing and got me invested in a sport now. But there's so many great moments that I can't really name them all, but yeah, for me, Anthony Joshua is the man that got me into boxing.
Yeah, my answer is the same thing. It's Josh Warrington fighting Adam Rowe.
Yeah.
Or Josh Warrington.
One of your own.
Yeah, when Josh was bringing, because he used to bring Leeds players to do the walkouts with him. So Brady, Ailing, a few other players had done it with him, and that kind of connection had got me through. And I remember watching that Lee Selby fight, and that was unreal. Like the atmosphere and the Kaiser.
You had to bring up Lee Selby. Didn't
I had to.
Yeah.
And just that fight. I'd taken an interest in boxing because I don't think you couldn't before that. And I watched big fights and stuff, but that was a moment where I started to watch more boxing. And also, let's not forget, Josh Warrington is why this podcast exists.
Yeah.
Because it was Warrington Wood
that we were
chatting about downstairs before. Otherwise, you wouldn't have known I was into boxing. I wouldn't have known you were into boxing.
Well, it was like 9 o'clock in the morning as well, wasn't it? And then you popped along as well.
And then we wouldn't have. And I think you tweeted about, was it? It was.
Was it Zhang Joy?
Michael Lawal, wasn't it?
That was it.
About.
Yeah, it must have been something.
And then we'd
like that.
seen that you'd done that tweet, and then we'd come together for the podcast.
Yeah.
What a mistake, man. No, I'm joking.
The best decision we've
It's
ever
the worst
made.
tweet they've ever put out there.
Right, what's yours then? What's your starter?
The first fight that proper got me into
First fight
boxing.
ever of boxing, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably around for that, wasn't he?
Yeah. When they were all like Billy the Kid and stuff like that. Back in the late 90s, 1890s, that is.
Yeah.
No. 2013. How old was you, Anne? Was you 5?
8.
Was you 8?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes me feel sick. Carl Froch and George
Yeah.
Groves.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a massive moment in British boxing anyway, but I can remember the lead up to that fight because it was in, I can't remember when the first fight was, but
Was that the open top bus?
that was the second fight at Wembley, but the first fight that they had, and they had the build up to that, and obviously the controversial finish where like Groves got stopped early, and I can just remember I was watching, I was like hooked by the fact that like all this controversy, and I was watching all the interviews afterwards with like Eddie Ewan where he was saying that there should be a rematch, so I just got hooked in it. I was kept looking at it and watching stuff to see when they were going to be fighting again. I can remember watching the rematch at Wembley Stadium, sold out. It was just like the most craziest sort of sporting thing I'd seen. So I think after watching that, obviously all the stuff leading to the rematch as well, like the push and the pull is like such a famous like sort of gloves are off moment. Just seeing those those two in like the biggest stadium in the country going at it, settling their feud, that what got me hooked on boxing, I
So
think.
you wouldn't know Carl Froch fought in Wembley, would you? Because he doesn't bring that up.
No.
He likes to keep it quiet.
How many
but,
people was it in front of as well? He
I
doesn't mention
wouldn't
that
know,
line,
he
yeah.
wouldn't mention
It is mad when you think about it though, because
Yeah,
like
cool.
for so many years before that, you had some big fights, but like that felt like it really gave a lift off to British boxing again.
And like you say, like that moment, that gloves are off moment. I think I was playing a football match the other day, and me and a guy like were having a bit of a, and I was like, we can all have a little push and pull, and he got the reference. And I was like, that shows how
Non-boxing fans,
everyone
yeah,
knows
yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
that clip. It's like the Chisora White one. I'm going to go through you like laxatives.
Who's a donkey as well and all that. Yeah, flipping the
but I feel
table.
like I'm going to go. Like those pills you pop and
Yeah.
go through you like laxatives. Bit of a weird analogy. That's a moment I think of like, and a great fight, another great British fight. We'll do one more question before we have to reset the video cameras because we've only got half an hour on the.
Good question by Brandon Scott, man. I'm
Was a good
surprised.
question.
I haven't got much respect for him. You know.
Your friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man. No respect.
When's he going to be fighting next?
I don't know. He's got. You can see on the video actually.
He's still got a nasty
cut.
cut.
He has, hasn't he?
And he's also got a metal hand as well. So
Just hopefully he doesn't fight any Argentinians anytime soon.
absolutely
Yeah.
not. Never a good idea. Right?
Only joking. I love Brandon.
Close your eyes, boys, while I load up this next one. And now this one is one you tried to guess, and I said was based outside of Wales,
Based outside
and you couldn't get it because you were like, oh, they're not Welsh. It is, of course, Taylor Bevan,
Bevan.
who's based in Southampton.
No way.
He is.
So I got a little trick on you there. Matchroom prospect Taylor Bevan, very, very,
That
very
is
good
unbelievable.
fighter. And a very good question, I thought. Who is the best boxing trainer currently?
Bloody hell.
We won't do of all time, because other than Ben, we weren't around enough to see it. So it feels like I would just be guessing and Googling,
Yeah.
because I wasn't there to see it. Of current day,
All time.
we won't say all time. We'll
Okay,
just do today. Sorry, Taylor, if you've got an answer for this as well, then let us know.
We should ask him.
We
Yeah.
should ask him. My answer of today is Andy Lee,
Yes.
because
yes.
I think what he's
The
done
best out there at the moment.
at the moment. Yeah, if I had a pick of every trainer on the planet of who I would go to right now, I'd go for Andy Lee, because I just think, the work he's done with Parker, the work he's done with fighters, and the tactics, they always get it right. If one of his fighters loses, it's because they were the second best. It's never because they went about it the wrong way. And I think that's what I'd want. He makes fighters better, especially because he grew up, in Ireland. I seem to remember he was a very wiry, young fighter, and he came through, and he wasn't necessarily the best fighter himself, but he worked himself. I just think he's got that. I don't know. I just think he's got that about him. If I had to put my trust in one, it would be him.
I like Bomac.
Great shout.
I remember a couple of weeks back, me and Ben were talking about him.
Very good.
Yeah.
He's got
He's spent a lot of time in the UK.
And done
recent
some
years.
with Chris Eubank.
Keyshawn Davis
Yeah.
and Bud Crawford.
Yeah.
He was with Chris Eubank when he beat Liam Smith in a rematch as well, I think. Didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bomac would be
I do like Andy
high on
Lee.
my list.
Andy Lee's definitely up there. Them two, I think. Robert
You've-
Garcia as
You've
well.
missed
A lot of
the
people would say Robert Garcia or Ben Davison. A lot of people would say.
I do like, what he did with
Sure.
Fury.
Shigo Inoue.
Yeah.
He's got two sons who are both world champions, and one of them is arguably the best fighter on the
What about
planet.
his missus? Well, she's the real mastermind, and you just don't know it. Mrs.
He-
Nue might
yeah,
be the,
he's,
You and
he's
boxers
taken all
misses,
he's taken all the
unbelievable.
credit.
Mrs. Nue might be the one. She might be
figurehead.
the brain behind the operation. You never know, or the reason why they're such good boxers.
What a
Well,
boxer Taylor Bevan's going to be, though.
Oh,
Let's be
absolutely,
honest.
yeah.
Incredible
I think Taylor
process.
Bevan could have me in charge of him, and he'd still win titles.
Yeah.
That's how good he is. If I just went
Scary power, wasn't it, in his last fight?
But I did trick you with the saying he's not Welsh based.
He's not, is he? No, I searched
he
that
fights
up.
out of
Yeah,
Southampton,
yeah.
doesn't he?
I
Albeit
never
he's
knew that.
Welsh.
Yeah.
there's a lot of Southampton-based boys these days, isn't there?
We got two on the questions here, didn't we? With Louis as well.
I thought it was Portsmouth. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm
For a
joking.
second.
I'm joking.
For a second.
I know the football reference there. God.
Absolutely. Right, so next up is another.
Are we going to do
video
another one? We're not going to stop.
I'll do a lovely hidden cut. The viewers won't even know. If you're listening
Okay.
to the audio version, you won't even know that there's been a cut. That's how
Good Sam Hill is.
good I'm going to be. And this is one that Harry will actually enjoy. So,
Enjoy?
if you bear with me one moment,
Okay.
I'm going to play the video right now.
Chaps, hope you're well. Andy Clark here. Congrats on the 100th episode. That's tremendous work. It takes a lot of graft to get to 100 episodes. It absolutely does. So I've been thinking hard about a suitable question for you, and I think I've come up with a good one. Wales is, of course, a proud boxing nation, a very successful boxing nation. Who, though, is going to be Wales' next world champion?
What a question, by the way.
Great question.
What a question.
Great buck as well. Can I say in the background there? Unbelievable.
Knockout.
Yeah.
Massive thank you to Anne. I like how he introduced himself as well. That's
Yeah.
very professional. I like that.
Yeah.
What a question. And I purposely, now a couple of these questions.
We need to go for different fighters, I
couple of
think,
these
just to keep
questions,
everyone happy.
We've done a little bit of prep for, just because I think it'd be a bit harsh to spring it on these boys. They didn't know who would ask the question, but this one I didn't give you as one to give prep for, because I thought I wanted to see where your heart was feeling. Is it one of the ones we've already seen on here? Is it one that we've not yet seen or not had an interview for? Is it one that's yet to even make their pro debut? It's a tough one.
I'll go. Taylor Bevan.
I knew he was
From
gonna
what
take
I've
the
seen,
easy one.
I know it's because
That
it's
is
in the memory.
that is probably
He's-
the
If I was going to put a tenner on who's going to be the next Welsh world champion, put money on him. I tell you, it's just something about him. His last fight, that shot that knocked his opponent out was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he's making easy work of it. That's something. And I think he's got a good promoter in Eddie Hearn that knows how to get a fighter from their debut up to a world level fight. And it's all about now, I think this year for him, get as much experience as possible because he's still new to the professional ranks. And then next year is going to be a big year for him. So yeah, if I had I know the saying is if I could put 10 pence on, but if I could put a tenner on, I'd put it on Taylor Bevan.
Fair enough. I'm going to go rogue, or slightly rogue. I think that Rhys Edwards.
He's next to my one.
I had Rhys Edwards in my mind as well.
Pick up I don't necessarily think he'll be a multiple, but I think he could easily pick up an IBO, IBF, something like that.
That was the same one.
With Boxer behind him and the talent he's got. Gary Lockett.
Was the question who could be the next Welsh World Champion? Yeah. So technically, we could say Lauren Price because she's going to be picking up
she's
new
already
world
champion. No, it's got to be someone that hasn't won.
Sorry for stealing your answer there, bud.
You've taken the two. I don't know who else I could throw forward for the minute.
Ben Thomas. You're potentially making a
back myself.
Croft twins, maybe.
Yeah, which one? First.
That's why I wasn't going to say them there because I didn't want to.
You're going to upset one of them, aren't you? But they're not called the Klitschko brothers, are they? For a reason. They're incredible, aren't they?
Yeah.
They look brothers. Very good. Obviously, we watched them. That was the first time we watched them live, and it was down in Cardiff.
Great video package you did for them.
You could unreal. Say just both of them.
What if they win it on the same night?
One of the Crofts.
Collectively, one of them might win it. You could say that.
Yeah. I'll say A. Croft.
You can have your Rhys Edwards, and I'll say A. Croft.
A. Croft will win a world title.
Yeah.
We'll go for that.
The one thing I do like about Welsh boxers as well, like we talked about, they're all down to earth.
Yeah,
aren't they?
Sound as.
Well, Rhys Edwards, prime example. Just watching a random, rugby match last weekend, and he managed to get a decent interview with him.
And even you talk about the top, Lauren Price, Cordina, just lovely people.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren is too nice for her own, or too normal for her own good in terms of a boxing sense. She's such a standard, normal person and lovely.
Even with the past boxers as well, Lee Selby, Enzo Macronelli.
Yeah.
They're all lovely, yeah.
We've met. The only one we haven't met yet is Joe Calzaghe. So
Calzaghe's the only one.
We're coming for him, aren't we?
Yeah.
We should do that. If we ever get the chance to sit down with him, I've got the perfect location to do that podcast. Blackwood Weatherspoons. Yeah. If you're watching this and you know where Blackwood is and you know the Weatherspoons, there's a corner in that room, upstairs, the third floor, in the corner, all pictures of Joe Calzaghe. We should do it in there one day.
Joe, if you're listening or you're watching, make it happen. Because, we're all here. I'll even buy you a pint. Yeah, I'll do you a deal. Right.
Yeah.
Next up. That was a
great question.
Again,
I can't believe we got Andy Clark. That's made my day, that.
Now this one.
What a legend.
This is one I don't think you boys are expecting at all. This is very left wing.
Oh.
This one.
Okay.
Not politically speaking.
Let's leave the politics.
Very off. Have a look away. Do you know what? Actually, I'm gonna intro this one. This is former WBC world champion Victor Ortiz.
What?
Yeah.
Ben and Harry, what's going on, guys? I hope all is well. My name is Victor Ortiz, WBC champion of the world. With that being said, man, Ben is getting old. He needs to lose a little bit of weight.
Wow.
Harry prefers rugby over boxing.
Have you paid for this? You paid for this?
I was going to say, how the hell you managed to get this? That is class.
That is the best £8 I've ever spent on caviar.
Oh my god.
Victor Ortiz.
That's amazing.
You got to send that in the group chat. That is unbelievable.
What a man.
I thought,
even though, I'm not going to argue back at him with myself.
and I think that's a fight you cannot win.
I didn't even ask him to say it.
Imagine he just...
That's unbelievable.
That's wicked.
WBC champion.
Was there a question in there?
No.
Victor.
No.
You just took the mick out of both of us.
Yeah, my instruction was, don't ask a question. I'm doing this where we get fighters to ask us a question, but don't ask us a question.
Just take the mick.
Just insult the two. This is a bit about them, and I just said you're old and you need to lose a bit of weight, and I said you like rugby, so there we go.
I respect that. Thank you very much, Victor.
We can't even tag team on him, can we, to beat him?
He would still beat
he would batter us.
Man was a special talent.
I honestly thought then you've messaged him and got him to send in a question.
And he's done that to you.
£8.
That's a bargain, mind. If you're listening to this and you want...
You've got too much money.
We need more fighters doing it, son.
Look, some of them are like £200.
Go on, name them. Name drop them.
Evander Holyfield was very expensive. Lennox Lewis was very expensive. There was some YouTube boxers that were more expensive than him. That's a former world champion. And
that's crazy.
I put it in at about 9 o'clock at night. I woke up at 7 a.m. and it was done.
Fair play to him.
What a man.
Unbelievable. We need to do more of them.
Absolutely.
Birthday message for Ben. We'll have to do
the reason
one.
this was a little ode to the podcast. We've done a few of these where we sprung you with the Brandon Scott clip, sprung you with the Chev Clark clip.
Yeah.
So I thought, in true Puncher's Chance fashion, I would spring on you a surprise insult.
That's
So
unbelievable.
if someone sponsors us, we could get Lennox Lewis to call me a fat bastard.
Yeah, we could. I think he'd do it.
That'd be the dream.
It's just
The other one
he's
that
just
I-
lying there, ain't
The
he,
one that
Ben?
was cheaper but too expensive was Thomas Triber.
Oh,
I couldn't
imagine that.
afforded Thomas Triber, but I didn't want to spend the money.
David Diamante does it for free anyway, so
Mate, just your name, yeah.
yeah.
So that was a little bit of a fun segment detour. I enjoyed that one.
That was really good.
We've got a...
I can't believe when you said it, I was
Visual
like, "There's
teaser.
no way."
Yeah, we've got two more to go.
Okay.
The next one is a man who I've interviewed a couple of times and I've enjoyed both times. So have a look away. And it's not a video question, unfortunately, because I think a video would have been quite entertaining from this man. It is, of course, Jess McCaskill's
Rick
trainer.
Ramos.
Rick Ramos. What a man. Jess, the first world champion we ever interviewed.
Yeah.
And Rick's question to us, where is the future, or who is the future of female boxing? And he also put a caveat question, will Lauren Price beat Maya? And I hope he doesn't mind me leaving it in there, which I'm sure he doesn't, based off his tweets.
Yeah.
Jess and I believe so. So he thinks Lauren Price will be undisputed champion. And do you know what?
I agree.
I trust Rick Ramos, and therefore, absolutely yes.
I remember meeting him at the launch press conference, wasn't it, for McCaskill Price, and I said to him, "Oh, can I do a 5-minute interview with him?" We were there for 10 minutes. Unbelievable guy, and what a question. And the future of female boxing, I think, after what Jake Paul has done.
Oh, don't you dare steal my answer.
Sorry,
He was going to say it's
but
an
what he's done with
MVP.
MVP, he's put women's boxing on the map where it rightly deserves to be. And yeah, shout out to all those female boxers that are going to get the opportunity fighting in Madison Square Gardens. I've always said this, I'm a firm believer in this. The women's fights for me are incredible. They're some of the best fights that we get in the year. Sandy Ryan and Mayer last time out was incredible.
Serrano.
Yeah. Lauren Price's performance against Tasha Jonas was
And I think Price
unbelievable.
will be a belter of the fight as well.
Hopefully that happens. Literally, we can see the arena that it could potentially happen in over on my left. So, great question. I think the female boxing's in a great place at the moment, and with what Jake Paul's done, it's going to continue rising up.
Who is the future, do you think? I know the question's where, but who could be who as well? One fighter.
Future.
I'm trying to think of...
Fran Hennessy. I think she's got a big backing by boxer. Incredible ring walk. That's definitely something that a lot of people tune into. Elizabeth Ashoba as well. I think she's got a big. I know that's probably who you're going to say. She's finally been given that opportunity. Signed by MVP last week.
Huge news.
So
Button for it.
yeah, I think she's got a decent
One
future.
of the earliest ones we've been peddling the hype train for. I've been on the Elizabeth Ashoba hype train since it was in Lagos, basically.
Yeah.
So big.
What was your other answer?
My other answer was Rihanna DeForo, who is training with Steffi Bull, turned over pro at 15. She's had, I think, 4 or 5 fights now over in Mexico. She's only like 16, 17.
That's mad.
And she's 4-5-0. And I think she will, when she is old enough to fight in the UK, she's probably going to be like 10-0 or something. And I just think she's going to absolutely burst onto the scene.
I think the biggest future fight coming up will be Lauren Price and your favourite fighter, Clarissa Shields.
That's a belting fight, to be fair.
I think
It's
that
just a shame that Sam won't be allowed anywhere near that fight week or fight
they're
builder.
both Olympic gold medalists,
Yep.
Yeah,
both undisputed. Could be,
Will
at
be.
multiple weight classes by the
will
time.
be undisputed.
I think Lauren Price
Promoter
beats
Ben.
Maya.
You know, 100th episode
I
special.
think Price and Maya is the toughest fight the Price would have had.
We
by
said it.
some way.
We've said it. The only person that can take Price to deep waters to see if she can swim in those deep waters is Maya.
I think Michaela Maya is and will be, for the whole of Lauren's career, the toughest opponent she faces. I think
Future Hall of Famer as well, I think.
Michaela Maya at welterweight is a tougher
She's
fight.
criminally
than
underrated, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Or, super welterweight, sorry, for Lauren.
As a boxer, I've been a big fan of Michaela Maya, so like seeing the two. Obviously, I'm gonna back Lauren Price
It's a bit bittersweet though, isn't it?
yeah, but Michaela Maya she would be my sort of second favourite female fighter, I think, and I still argue to this day I think she should still be undefeated. So
Absolutely.
Great question. Hope they're well Jessica McCaskill, what a career she had.
Those two, though, are two of the nicest people we've met in boxing.
Yeah, if someone had asked who's the nicest boxers, Jess's name would have definitely
Yeah.
come up.
Well, you did an entire interview with Jessica talking about food after the weigh-in,
I
wasn't
think
it?
I was just hungry.
You were hungry. Can you imagine what Jessica
She's been
was?
eating all week.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, that's why I asked her, is because they basically, the way they do it is they do like a rolling camp, so they don't have camps.
Okay.
They just kind of stay fighting fit. So she was on weight like a week before. She was eating burgers. I saw in her Instagram story she'd eaten like a burger the night before. So I was just chatting to her about food. I told them about Chicago Town pizzas, which they were offended by the idea.
If I remember right, they've got their own boxing gym, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do some good stuff over in Chicago.
Yeah, they do. That's part of the reason.
That'd
why
be a nice trip for us.
Part of the reason why they do it is to keep people off the streets.
Yeah.
If they're not out of camp, then they don't have a month to mess around, basically.
That's another thing that boxing does great, isn't it?
Keeping kids off the street, yeah. Things like Empire Fighting Chance, obviously, with Jamie Sanagar over in Bristol, that now Matchroom are involved with. Anything like that, fighting knife crime, getting kids off the street, all that good stuff.
Exactly.
Get people like Ben into a podcast studio.
Yeah. And where would you be now if you didn't have the Puncher's Chance podcast?
I wouldn't want to know.
Buffet.
I knew that was good.
Keep the punches up. Come on, a bit low.
Don't know. Would you be talking about football?
Would you have your own football podcast?
You and Ethan talking about Welsh football and Big Mike. What a time to be.
That'd be the dream.
We're talking about Mike Tyson there, though, aren't
Yeah,
we?
of course,
Comparison,
absolutely,
obviously.
yeah. Right, final question. The next one.
Final question.
And this one I don't think it's a surprise.
You
for
saved the
gonna
best
do.
till last, have you?
Well, have I actually? I think I've missed one out.
Have you?
You have missed one out.
I have missed one out that I haven't
Hang on.
told you.
Are we
We've got
allowed
two more.
to?
So this one here. Of course, I couldn't get one Croft twin.
You've missed 3 out, actually.
Have I? Am I that bad?
We're not meant to look.
So we got the first one, Garan Croft. Can't have both the Croft twins, can we? That would be, or not have both the Croft twins.
Another incredible question.
Another great question with your podcast and following growing. Where do you see your podcast in 5 years' time? In a bin. No. I'd
Well,
like to hope we're still going.
The dream would,
If you're still with us, then yeah.
I'd be very close to the end of that point.
we'll just
But-
wheel you in for the 1000th
If
episode.
you're nice.
I'd be like Bob Arum,
yeah.
just wheeling me about to these events.
Just
Bob
but
Arum, Don King, Ben Thomas, the
Yeah.
forefathers of boxing.
the dream would be to like cover boxing full time.
Yeah.
Just us, yeah. That'd be the dream, wouldn't
Like, so the last 2 years,
I'm thinking a cushy little just pay some kid peanuts to do it for us, and then we just go to the big shows.
it? Are you referring to someone there? That we've met in boxing?
No.
No.
No, I would never do that.
We'll keep that off camera,
No,
should
I
we?
would never take some people, pay them peanuts, and
No.
and get them to ask stupid questions and inappropriate questions to fighters,
Yeah.
and then turn up at the big shows. I would never do that, and nor would anyone in boxing, of course.
No.
But yeah, that would be the dream.
5 years. I would
But
like.
even if not, I'd like to think once we're out of uni and if we're working and this isn't an income source, I'd like to think we could do it sort of
Yeah.
just a podcast, keep us busy a day a week or two.
yeah.
I think with our jobs, we're not going to be working 7 days a week, are we? When you think
No,
about it, we're going to have our
absolutely not.
days off. I would like to think in 5 years' time that we'll be still doing it, and we'll be doing a podcast on Garan or his brother potentially winning a world title.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hope in maybe 6 months' time we might have our own podcast studio. That's the plan, isn't it?
That would be
Well,
the
look
dream.
at this. This is our
We
new
just need a
studio now.
sponsorship.
Our
Someone
new
backs
studio.
us.
Are we going to make
Yeah.
this our new home?
Yeah, we'll just turn this into one for the
We
next
just buy
year.
a big thing of wood, right? And just
Yeah.
stick it back there. We can stick your Lauren Price McCaskill poster, or I'll put mine on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
We'll tape some, I don't know,
Boxing news.
some gloves.
Yeah.
We'll tape some, I don't know, all sorts of rubbish.
Box Raw hoodie.
Yeah, box raw hoodie.
Yeah, Box Row can sponsor us. So basically live in our stuff.
Who says no?
Are we calling for sponsors yet?
I think we are. I think
Yeah.
we're desperately calling for sponsors. But Garan Croft, what a question that was. Very clever.
Very good.
And he's fighting next week, so all the best to him.
Right, what else have I forgotten on here?
Mr.
Oh, yeah.
William Crawler.
Yeah, what a question. this
William
was.
Crawler.
What
Oh
a
my
question
god.
this was from Will Crawler, by the way. He's on his holidays. I think he's in like the Maldives or something. Look,
He's earned it, to be fair.
Nice for some. Nice for some.
and I asked him for a question, and he asked us, build your best fighter, but you can only use someone once. So we're building it based on chin, speed, power, engine, heart, and personality, but they can't have one a world
I like
fighter.
that. I like
so we're
that.
all gonna give,
That makes it so
we're
much
all going to
harder.
give one each. We're going to agree on the best one, and then we'll let you know the final good fighter. Obviously, if we could use a fighter more than once, then we'd pick Will Crawler for all of them, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Of course.
I think that's what he's
Thank
done
you,
it
Will,
for.
the
Yeah.
question. But We haven't done that.
Chin.
There's only one man
There's
for
only
that.
one man, and it does count because he's only held an interim title. It's Joe Joyce.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe Joyce.
That's
There you go.
the same one.
Yeah.
It is Joe Joyce, right?
John Ryder as well I've put down, but...
Good shout.
Yeah.
But it is Joe Joyce.
It is Joe Joyce, especially after his fight against Philip Berg. How the hell?
Just takes bombs after bombs. Fair play to the man. So that's a nice easy one.
Yeah.
Now this one is the hardest one for me.
You-
Speed.
yeah.
Because quick fighters win world titles. So
Yeah.
I really struggled. So I'm interested to see what you boys went for this one.
I've gone whole British list, but I've gone for Jack Turner.
Ooh, really?
Yeah,
good shout.
yeah, I like that.
I think it's just the amount of punches he throws in such
Yeah.
succession.
That's a
but
really good shout. What about
yeah,
you,
speed for him, I'd go.
Abdullah Mason.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a
fighter.
big fan of him. I was meant to put him down as my prospect of the year. I know I keep on referring back
Brings
to
us
it,
up every week.
but
He'll win a world title and Harry will be like, I still think he's my
still a
prospect of the year.
I think he's got a big year coming up, and he's incredible. The way he creates angles in that ring, and before you know it, you think he's thrown a jab at you, and he's already landed a big left
I
hand.
suppose as well, because there's not footwork in here, we can include kind of quick feet in there
Yeah.
as well. This one was my power option before, but then I put someone else in at power and put him in at speed. Moses Atoma. For a heavyweight.
For speed,
For a heavyweight. The way he moves.
He is very quick for a heavyweight.
Quick for a heavyweight. The amount of punches he throws. But I don't think that's a good answer. I'd be inclined to pick Jack Turner probably over.
Put William Crawler as well.
He'd probably be for the next one.
Yeah.
I'd put Corolla in power.
Have you put him as power?
I would have put him, but I also put Moses Atoma
Oh, same.
because he just hits like a fucking truck.
Only because he was meant to be, he was up against Maris Vac last year, weren't he? And everyone said,
Never
this
stops.
is going, he's never gets stopped. This is going to give a time with the test that he wants, the rounds that he needs, and the time that gets him out of there within
Not even
6
that,
minutes.
Dempsey McKean as well.
Yep,
He
Dempsey
took
McKean, yeah,
Hrgovic
unbelievable.
Yeah.
a whole 12 rounds,
But
and he just sparked
Great
him out.
question.
you've forgotten a great man.
Power, who have we forgot?
Oh, that is a
It's
shout.
who I've gone for. I suppose we'll have to go for your Atomas because you've both gone Atoma.
Yeah.
But
Scary.
Who's
That-
close?
that-
pound power.
do you know on TV, you were there in person and you said, why the hell was the referee counting?
Yeah.
He could have
Crazy.
counted to 100.
Yeah, the guy was so out.
Yeah.
That's a good. That I was proud. That's why I moved Atoma to speed.
Yeah.
Because I had to make space for Ursu. But I
Yeah,
think
this was a
Atoma-
good shout. You know.
Completely forgot about
Atoma.
that. Yeah.
We'll go for Atoma. We'll go. For
I just think in terms of who Atoma has beaten, like he's proven against.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't like his next fight. I'm not a big fan. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
that's
just,
You should
the
go
sort-
spark him again.
Exactly.
Build him up.
Kubrat Pulev, I
Next
want to see him
up.
in.
Engine. Now there's two
It's
men
only
I had in
one
mind.
man for this.
There's two men I had in mind.
I think me and Ben are probably going to go Welsh bias, yeah, a little bit.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
been in our studio.
No, because I think he is better for the next one.
Really?
I think he shows more. I think
Who's he though? Gavin Gwynne, yeah.
You've got
I've got-
Gav.
I've got
I
Gav
think
for
Gav
engine.
has such a good engine because he's got such a good heart as well.
Yeah.
He keeps coming forward. So for this one, my two was between Echo Esserman,
Ooh, great
the
show.
engine
Yeah.
is literally his nickname.
That stoppage last year, one of the best stoppages, yeah.
Or Williams Zapata.
Zapata's
The
a good
amount of
shot.
punches, he's a WBC interim.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
I was about to say, is he a
questionable
yeah.
one? But the amount of punches that man throws,
Oh, he had a fight of the year contender against Tevin
twice against
Farmer,
Kevin
yeah.
Farmer, he does throw a hell of a lot of punches.
He's a pressure fighter, ain't he? And no feeling out process.
If you've
with
got
him.
a fighter that's literally called the engine,
So who have we gone
is
for
that
so
hard to
far?
argue?
So
So we've
gone
got Shin,
for
Joyce.
Joyce, Turner,
Yeah,
Atoma.
yeah.
We're on engine.
I think
Sure.
Zapata. I would agree with
Zapata
Zapata.
or the engine Echo Esserman, if we're going British. But I think Zapata.
Well, we won't get
Go on,
stopped then if we have
we'll
Zapata,
go,
will we?
we'll go Zapata just to
Even
so
it
we
out.
don't have British bias.
If you can imagine though, Willie Zapata with Joe Joyce's chin, throwing it with Jack Turner's speed and Moses Atoma's power.
You'd have me.
Exactly. Heart, I've gone for Gavin Gwynne for that one.
I've got Chisora for that one.
I've gone with Dave Allen, the white rhino. I think he's got the biggest heart in boxing. He takes any fight, any opposition. Look what happened against Johnny Fisher. He could have easily said,
true.
I was robbed that night, and he just walked out the ring and said, well, I know I didn't get the decision, but I'm just happy to be here. Another person, just to put it out, Jack Catterall.
Yeah.
I think he's got some big heart because he's been, especially after that Josh Taylor defeat, where everyone said he won clearly. To just keep on coming, and obviously his last fight he didn't get the victory. Those are my two, but I would say Dave Allen because he's fought everyone.
Jack Catterall's possibly
he could be the one below
best
that
fighter out there that hasn't won a world title.
Possibly, yeah. But I have gone for...
I'd agree with... We'll go with Gav, I think.
Gav, because we haven't put him on the engine.
Yeah.
Because I think Gav, no matter who he fights, he's not going to get stopped because he won't let himself.
The prime
He will
example
get
for
back
me of why he's got the biggest heart against Mark Chamberlain, his eyes buggered and he just keeps on coming forward. He's not trying to stay at distance just to get through the fight. He's still putting the pressure on. Yeah. I can agree with you on that.
Tony had to pull him from that fight because of
decision.
Because of that. So
Great decision.
Huge respect.
And personality is the last
got
one.
personality. Oh, Derek Chisora. I think if Derek Chisora didn't have the personality that he had, I think he would have been retired a long, long time ago.
Maybe, yeah. It's a good shout. It is a great shout.
All the good memories are with Derek Chisora, though. The press conferences. I remember when he fought Usyk in lockdown.
A British icon for years.
Yeah, dressed up against David Hay with the the fence they had in between them. Chisora for me, he's got one of the best personalities in boxing.
Fair enough. What about you, bud?
I'm going for someone that you interviewed a couple of weeks ago, Stevie Levy.
I had Stevie on my list, so...
After I didn't actually get the chance to meet her properly that night, only briefly I sort of said hello to her, but after watching your interview, she's so funny.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the type of personalities you need in boxing sometimes.
Yeah. I've written Stevie, but because I knew you were going for Chisora, so I was like, well, I'll do something different. But now that you said Stevie, I'm going to have to come up with a third one, which is really difficult to do because they've come up with some really good ones. And, do you know what? Give him a shout. Brandon Scott.
Yeah, Brandon is right up there.
Yeah, he is.
He really is. You can't.
He's too honest, ain't he, Brandon Scott? Yeah,
far too honest and lovely guy. So I think I've gone for Brandon, but I think Chisora's the answer.
Yeah, he's just a British icon at this point.
Who else
pound for pound?
Who else?
Personality in boxing? Konstantin Ursu.
There's a lot of scary man.
Just aura.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good list.
Yeah.
So we're going Chin, Joe Joyce.
Yeah.
Speed, Jack Turner.
Yeah.
Power, Moses Atoma. Engine, William Zepeda. Heart, Gavin Gwynne. Personality, Derek Chisora. That man is never, or woman, is never losing.
That's a promoter's dream fighter, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Will.
Very good question.
I like the bit at the end though. They can't have won a world title. I think that added to the question.
At the top left there, it does say edited. I think that was a little afterthought for Will, and a great one at that.
Yeah. Look at that as well. 9:20 in the morning. He's messaging you.
What a man on his holidays. Fair play. Thank you for that. And on to our last one. Got about 5 minutes left.
He saved the best for last.
He's gone for an essay. We all know who it is.
Oh.
It's our good friend and matchmaker.
I thought you have to.
Daniel.
I thought we have to.
Hey
pay
guys,
for
it's
fans.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Just want to say it's crazy now that it's your 100th episode. You know, we've that day back in February 2024, the first ever interview we've ever done that we did on the stage in Bramwell Hall. I remember it like yesterday when you both walked in, you and Sam and Ben, because obviously Harry's never around, is he? Let's be honest. You know, I think he just tags on for the free Nando's, to be honest. But you know, it was ever since then. You know, we've done a lot of interviews together, become good mates. I know you guys are smashing it for Welsh boxing. You know, you're going around giving the publicity to the boys after fights, etc. You know, you're doing great podcasts. Well, Sam and Ben. Harry's not doing so much, I suppose. Maybe he's doing more rugby, isn't he? So rugby's chance, not Puncher's podcast. You know, rugby is Harry's bread and butter, I think. But anyway, you know, Ben, don't know what he does these days, but Sam, you're smashing it, son. Well done. You know, in all seriousness, boys, you know, you're doing amazing. You've smashed it. 100th episode. You know, keep pushing, keep doing as good as you are. But my question to you is, what has been your favourite fight in Wales that you've seen in them 100 episodes? And what are your standout moments since you've been doing the podcast in Welsh boxing? What is your standout fight or incident or moment that's happened in them 100 episodes? Let me know.
That's a very good
To
question.
finish it off with,
I don't like that, man.
like every
Can I just clarify? There's no free Nando's when I'm around. I'm the one that pays for the Nando's. Yeah.
Matt, do you know what though? Thank you, Dan, on all seriousness for the lovely words. We take the piss out of each other a little bit, but he's done a lot.
This
of good
man,
for us. He's done.
We've talked a lot. You know, he's put a card together. He doesn't mess about. He puts competitive fights on top to bottom. He gives prospects. We talk about prospects getting an easy fight, easy fights. Yes, they're coming up against a journeyman that's basically there to lose, but he picks the ones that test them. And I think that's something that, you know, Dan doesn't get a lot of credit.
Not only that, but I think he helped us massively with this podcast as well.
definitely.
He's opened a lot of doors for us. So
And he's going to open a lot more doors with the year coming up because the next card, I don't know if we can talk about it, that showdown in Swansea looks incredible.
Belter.
Unbelievable.
We've got
What was the question? Because I was watching that and I was just thinking you're just taking the mick out
fight
of
in
me.
Wales.
favourite fight in Wales. We've got about 2 minutes
Since
on the
we
camera,
covered.
so we'll do a quick reset on the camera,
Okay.
and then we can answer the question. But you guys won't notice that again because we're lovely and smooth, and none of this will include. So
Bash.
We'll have 10 minutes to think about it now.
So
Back into it.
back into it. The best fight we've seen in Wales. There's a couple that have come.
So
to
many.
mind, and I think I can probably guess the three that each three of us are going to go for. But it depends which one's going to go for which one.
Shall I start? I really enjoyed the history-making fight, just because Dan asked the question. This man, along with Rixie, created history last year for Welsh boxing, the first ever female Welsh boxing fight in Llanelli. Unbelievable card, but that main event, we had 20 minutes of pure action, didn't we, between the two girls, Victoria Perkins, Ashley Johnson, the history makers there.
What's your language?
He was a great fighter. Watch my language. We won't. I thought then. Hang on a minute. What did I say? You got the mic as well.
Yeah.
No, great fight. And yeah, it was nice to. The best thing about this job that I've realised is we're so privileged, aren't we? We get to sit front row,
Knees
and
touching the ring.
literally, you know, some of the promoters that we go to, the shows were quite far from the ring. With Dan and Richie, they put it. I was literally touching the ring, and yeah, that was an incredible fight for me. The best fight I've seen. I know the fight you're going to name live, but because of the context and the history making of that fight, I think that's the best fight for me.
Yeah, fair enough. My other one is, and actually, for this one, I was on FaceTime with a certain Dan Francis.
We've got the same one, I think.
Angelo Dragoni.
Yeah,
check.
That's the best fight I've seen
Brilliant
live.
moment for Angelo. What a man. What a brilliant moment. Unbelievable fight. The atmosphere in
Amazing fight.
It's the only time the Vale Sports Arena has felt hot because the atmosphere in there was phenomenal. And yeah, what a fight. What a moment.
It was just
Angelo falling to his feet when he got the victory. Him sending me a picture the next day of him in, I think, Bristol Airport with his title and a
He didn't go to
massive
bed that
black
night.
eye.
He didn't go to bed. He just went
straight to
Bristol.
holiday.
Yeah.
Is it? That's the type of like boxing story that could make a movie, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like
yeah.
he
could write a book.
fought twice for the Welsh title. The one time he probably should have won it and didn't get the decision. The second time, he obviously beaten. To come back for that third, and he said it was his last roll of the dice in terms of winning that
Moving on
title.
to a journeyman. Enzo had him under his arm.
It was a close fight as well, so it was like, what was it, 96, 95 or something like that, he won it. It was just, and the scenes afterwards, like you said, you could just see the pure emotion that just come out of him. It was just, and we'd seen him in the lead up as well, how hard he was working. It was just, it was, the full thing, I think, was just amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Do you know another moment?
I was going to say, my third one.
Ethan George, when he stopped Ryan Pocock
gave
and
us
came
something good.
pointing at us, I told you, and I honestly was worried for my life that, because I thought he was going to jump out the ring and start bang, bang. I told you boys, do not doubt him. Future British champion, I believe, Ethan George, and incredible fight coming up against
I was going to say, that fight.
Fireworks.
Well, when's it, 19th?
Next week.
Next week. Could be the best fight to be watching.
My third choice, if I can't go for Tinkler and Angelo, to give a different one, was the Croft twins.
Oh,
There
the
was-
atmosphere in there for them.
Yeah, talk about atmosphere.
When they were walking out to Tom Jones, playing the national anthem beforehand. And, like, I'm not Welsh, but that moment was like, oh,
Gives you
this is
goosebumps,
special.
doesn't it?
Yeah, proper.
Better than God Save the King, innit? The Welsh national anthem, let's be
I was
honest.
going to say, there is one more as well, but it's a Welsh fighter. Wasn't based in Wales, though. It was up in Brentwood. Was Ben Crocker winning the European title.
Yeah, fair.
I was there for that night, and the atmosphere.
first fight was phenomenal.
Yeah, both fights, the two of them, credit to both of them. But yeah, the atmosphere in that night for that European title fight and seeing him win that, and I was lucky enough to see him with his family and everything in the hotel afterwards, and the celebrations was like, yeah, it was incredible. So yeah, we've had a lot of great moments, especially covering Welsh boxing, but overall I think we've had loads of amazing memories.
And I think we have to say thank you as well to Sanagar, Chris Sanagar and all them for inviting us to the shows. Dan, Richie, you know, without them we wouldn't be able to go to the shows. We would have to be a fan and pay for a ticket, which I wouldn't be against. But
well, we've mentioned there as well, top tier.
Yeah.
Obviously Dan got us that gig.
Yeah.
And then
he's a very likeable man, Dan is, when you meet him.
Very.
Yeah.
And then obviously now we've been to Queensbury shows, we've been to Boxer shows, Matchroom coming soon. Lots of great stuff going on.
Got a busy month. I could hopefully be sat ringside of the biggest fight in the year.
Both of you?
Ringside, mine.
No, probably not ringside. I'll try and sneak my
for you
sneak my way
nice.
ringside.
Lots of great moments. What a great way, I thought. Not to pat my own back because I came up with the idea, but that was a really fun way. I thought, just to have a
very
look
good.
back,
Yeah.
some of the people we've met along the way.
It's nice to reflect, isn't it? Sometimes take a step back and just look at what you've done and achieved.
And I've been called out by a former WBC world champion.
Correct.
You've been called a little hater boy. Well, have I been called anything? It's not for the podcast.
I've called him a lot.
Not by boxers, but the comment section have had a field day with you over the years.
This mug.
Thank you. If you want to, just for old time's sake, leave a hate comment. Do it. Why not?
Do you know the other thing we haven't even mentioned? When filming this entire podcast, when we started off, did you ever think we would be nominated for a podcast of the year in Wales?
I don't think we'd be nominated for an award.
No. Full stop. An award, yeah.
We haven't introed. I didn't interview this as an award nominated podcast.
Yeah,
it's all on our CD, so surely.
You know, I come in every hello and welcome back and all that rubbish. I never say welcome.
Yeah, we should start doing that.
Hello, welcome back.
I think
award-winning podcast.
From next
we talk
week,
about like being on one level. That's just boosting our egos too much. I think we need to stay down to earth.
Yeah, stay humble.
So we should
like Dan.
Should we go the other way? Hello and welcome to the worst boxing podcast.
That's probably not far off the truth.
The AI thing that we did, you put bad boxing knowledge sold separately.
It's true.
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Just chance toys. Right, last one from me.
Oh,
spring the question on us.
Yeah. When will we hit 200? Or will we hit 200? Give us a date. Closest wins. No matter allowed.
March,
April next year.
You reckon April next year? April Fool's next year.
I'll go first of April next year.
We did.
Yes, we did in the podcast. Yeah. You going where you go?
I think June the 4th next year.
Wow. I think we're not going to make it because I'm handing in my resignation here and now. Yeah.
Are you?
No,
Happy days.
Absolutely not. Comment section, just everyone celebrate me. Yeah. No.
Last one.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Have you got the actual date? Have you calculated? Oh, you haven't calculated.
Well, it depends on how many we do, innit?
If we do 2 a week.
I basically said that so I could say I was quitting. That was a cheap gag.
From year on. Yeah, it could be this time next year. Yeah. This time next year, boys, we could be millionaires.
But you know what? You have to subscribe or follow on.
How many are we off from 1,000 subscribers? We're over 1,000 on TikTok.
230 odd. So yeah, subscribe so you find out when we hit 200. Even if you subscribe now, don't watch another 99 episodes and watch 200, then I'll be happy with that. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, for old time's sake, you can find us on LinkedIn, Blue Sky Threads, TikTok. Find us on the street sometimes or in our own homes. You can find us on your podcast app, Spotify, YouTube for the episode video version, shorts, all that good stuff. Interviews coming soon this month. Anything else I forgot to mention?
Just a big thank you for all your support,
Absolutely.
We wouldn't be here without the views and all and the subscribers, so really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all later in the week.
Punches chance. Punches Chance Podcast.